Hey, everybody, welcome back. And guess what? We have had pending home sales actually pulling back, which is something we have to go all the way back to April of 2023. What does that mean? What does it mean moving forward? Does that mean we're in a massive market shift? What the heck is happening? We're going to go over that, and let's get the show on the road. Okay, so a lot of folks have been asking over the last couple of days, oh, George, there's a lot of media information out there and it's a mixed bag. And I 100% agree. Here's the cool thing. Every single week, come in and let's just delve into the solid metrics of what we've got. So today, our title, pending home sales pull back from the best level since April of 2023. Now, just understand that as we take a look, like you can see from the chart below, that pending sales are kind of a dynamic number for us because we can monitor and it tells us what's happening on a day-to-day basis. That is going to be super important because we monitor, hey, not only what is active on the market, but also what is new on market and how does that compare to what is pending. And then, of course, solds, well, that's what has already happened, and we're just looking at that final action. So today, when we go through our numbers, the funny thing is we're actually going to see more of the, hey, here's how we compared to December. And our January numbers as far as solds, well, that's more December. Part of that is January, but a lot of that is December as we have our 30-day carryover. Now, this is February 1st. Happy February. It's hard to believe where the heck did January go since New Year's and Christmas was just here. But nonetheless, there we go. So as we take a look at that, let's also dive into what are our national headlines looking at. So in the upper left here, home price appreciation ran just above expectations in November. Now, okay, so understand, you're learning about numbers that just happened in January. It's Feb 1, so January 31st obviously was yesterday, and that's, of course, where our cutoff is. People are still talking about November, December, and we're going to deal real time. So some of these headlines are showing us that, hey, November was a great month, which it was. It was a stellar month. December and January, almost always pretty consistent to each other. And in this circumstance, in a lot of ways they are. But let's get back at it here. So upper right, lowest rates in over a month, but there's a catch. We're going to go over that. Pending home sales pulled back from best levels since April of 2023, which is our headline. We just went over that. And then, of course, our rates, hey, net zero for the week. So we don't have a gain, we don't have a loss, basically still about 7%. And that is a normal interest rates. Now, here's the thing. They've actually, even though you might say, George, that's a little bit higher, we want them in the sixes, which is good to hear because that's where they're headed. And because the Feds did not lower their rate, remember, they only adjust rate once every 6 weeks. Had a hair on me there. Of course, mortgage rates move up and down multiple times every single day. All right. But because the Feds didn't, and because inflation numbers looked okay, and some of the PCE numbers actually turned out pretty good, right? So the bonds kind of gave it a little, took a little, and averaged out zero, which you might say, well, that's not good. You say, no, actually, that's kind of good because now we're going to start probably heading in a lower interest rate direction, which is what everybody wants. Now, when we take a look at what does that mean, if we take a look at Freddie's running 7-day average, look, we were a full percent higher than where we were at a year ago, just a few weeks ago, and now we're at about 0.32 or a third of a percent higher. And as you can see, Freddie's running 7-day average is just a little bit lower than 7%, which is absolutely awesome. And you can see that we're trending in a downward direction. Downward as far as mortgage rates, which is going to help. And as we start getting into the 6 3/4, we're going to start seeing some of those buyers come out with some of our seasonality as far as inventory coming up. And that's super important because as we take a look at days on market, we take a look at list to sales price, those things are going to start to adjust and normal seasonally. So when we take a look at this, you can see that we're still stuff from, right around 48 days, still at about 97, 98% of list price. What's interesting enough, when we take a look at our 7-day running average, look, there were 691 homes that came on market, Friday being a big push. And look at that on the pendant, 956. So we're still seeing 1/3 more homes coming off market than what we've seen come on market. Most importantly, we did see a bump in the price reductions, not unexpected, but some of our price reductions, we're seeing that adjusting number happen, which is totally normal. Again, if you're looking for super accurate information with no marketing, just tell us that you like the videos, you like what you see, and it just helps the channel. It helps other people really kind of get an idea of what's going on so they make the best business decision going on. All right, so as we kind of head down, we start taking a look at some of our metrics here. Let's take a look at our big monthly chart. The two circles are January of last year on the left and the January of this year on the right. And as you can see, those two, even though we've had a few more homes on market, we've had a few more sales, you can see that the trajectory is very close. They're very similar, and this is a seasonally normal. This is a normal cycle that you will see almost every single year, and it's super funny because people are like, hey, when are the best times? Well, there you go. There's your best times. When we take a look at this chart, and we're going to take a look at the average list price and the average sold price. And that's super important to understand because it helps us to understand a little bit of trend. So if we blow this up a little bit, we can see that the upper side, that's our year to date. The average list price is about $8,000 higher. However, the average sold price, that's $14,000 less than it was last week. Now, that doesn't mean that our market is heading down. That just says the average of what people have been buying. Okay, well, didn't we just say that interest rates had actually trickled upwards? Okay, when that happens, that means you can afford less dollars and cents. So as interest rates go up, people buy a little bit less, and subsequently, most of the time, prices come down, sold prices match that, and then as interest rates start coming down, we'll start to see the inverse. We'll actually start to see the average sold price starting to go up. So when we take a look at January over December, both in the average list price was up 2%, the average sold price year over year, month over month, went up by 1.1%. And that is, again, seasonally normal. And we will start to see that upward trajectory continue to happen. Now, there's been a lot of noise out there about that, oh my gosh, 2008 it's upon us. And I just kind of smile. I'm like, I don't fully understand. There's a lot of noise out there about shadow foreclosure inventory, which we're not seeing here. There's a lot of noise about people, putting their home on the market. We're going to flood the market with too many homes. We're not seeing that either. We're seeing our seasonally normal numbers, which are still about half of where they historically normally are. But with that, you have to understand 72% of the homeowners out there have a mortgage rate in the 3% range and lower. Okay, well, we have a lot of equity. We've got a lot less debt. There's always going to be somebody that's going to get into financial trouble. It's just a given. It is. The difference is it's not massive. And I don't understand how they're getting to that because the 2008s were based on really bad lending practices, like totally bad lending practices. And we've had excellent lending practices, tighter lending practices. In fact, there's a thing called a stress test. Most people are like, a what? Yes, it's called a stress test, and it's a requirement by lenders that says, hey, if they are pushed to their maximum as far as utilities, insurance costs, tax costs, home costs, that stress against their income stability, is it achievable? And that's another thing that most people have no idea that happens in the back end that does. And that is one of the conditions that you have to have. So some folks, hey, you have to pay down this credit card X. You have to free up this amount of liquid from your monthly paycheck to ensure that you can manage the stress test. In other words, at that snapshot in time, they say you can afford this, and which you should always maintain that. Just saying. All right, moving on. So when we take a look at it and we take a look at our actual numbers, we pop this one up and we take a look at the velocity. What do we got for pended? What do we have for active? What do we have for new on market? What do we have for sold? Okay, so if we move this over and we take a look at the top chart here, look, our new on market actually bumped up by 28.3%. Again, seasonally normal. That's about 1,100 homes-ish, right? Not a big deal. But here's the important thing. We're matching that with the number of pended. Pendeds are up 19.3%. Okay. Well, again, that's about what, let's call it 600, 700 homes-ish that we're taking a look at, just rounding. And so that lets you know that, look, for what's coming on, we're also going pended. And as we saw our running 7-day average, that was consistent. When we take a look at December over January, look, our pendants just that just went boom. Why? Because we saw some rate movement in November, which helped the solds, albeit they were down 25%. Not uncommon, but when we take a look at the actual pendant, you can see how that reversal happened, even though we have a massive amount of homes that came on market as far as 90%, which again was completely absorbed. So you saw those two numbers, a lot more new on market, boom, immediately our pendant jump up also, even though rates, in January were modest. They were more kind of flat, nothing exciting. They were better in November, worse in December, and the numbers show it. But again, there's nothing earth shattering. In fact, all things considered, that was pretty flat. Okay. Yes, we call it boring. So there you go. All right. But still, activity is happening. So that's not boring. All right. Let's pop over to new construction. Just pop this up here. Now, again, our monthly chart, you can see how the trajectories on the circled chart on the right and the circled chart on the left, they mirror each other. Shocking. Anyway, I'm just kidding. When we take a look at it, we see how the red, which is our pended or sold, I should say, and the green, which is basically active, you can see how those price points are starting to merge. So even though the year-to-date, the average list price is down $5,000 on new construction, the average sold price actually dropped down $75,000. And you might go, oh my gosh, no. A couple of weeks ago, we had a abnormal super high because we had a new plat that came online, was super high end, and it affected the numbers. And now some of the north end new construction is starting to drop back down and bringing it back kind of where it should be. Nonetheless, we're still, 19% higher. When we take a look at January over December, those numbers, both in list price and in sold price, absolutely headed up into the green category. And a lot of that was because of incentives. And we had some really great builder incentives. They capitalized on it. We had a little bit of a pullback on inventory with resales, and they were able to really capitalize on that, which made our sales better. Now, are we seeing new plats coming online? Absolutely. Are they at a better price, a more competitive price than maybe where they would have been a year ago? Yes, only because of interest rate and because, we're seeing the seasonal normal. As we roll into spring, and if those rates start coming down, we are going to see a lot of movement, both in the resale inventory and in new construction. A humble opinion, because, well, that's seasonally normal. So when we come back, we take a look at our metrics, and we let's blow that up for you one more time. We take a look at this. So new construction closed sales in December or January, which were December sales technical, some in the early part of January. They were off 20 homes. No big deal. And then, of course, we had a sluggish start with pended. They're off 61 homes as far as number of homes that went pended. When you take a look at the actual numbers, I guess that was more year to date. Sorry about that. Our actual numbers for pended in January over December, we were up 36%. If you read the right chart, it is a lot easier to give accurate information. So nonetheless, it was still a sluggish start, all things considered, for the year. Even though we had a big bump in January over December, again, a lot of that was, those were just incentives that they were able to capitalize on. January was still a little on the slow side. It is what it is. And we will see those solds as we roll through, or those pendeds converting to solds as we roll through February. So just keep that in mind. All right. So as we take a look at bank owned, we're not doing the wall of shame. And so I can tell you there are 8 that are not REOs or bank owned homes. We have been asked to, leave it a little gentler, kindler for the lesser agents out there that don't pay attention. Oop, probably shouldn't have said that. Anyway, worst case, snap that hand. Don't do that again. All right, let's head off into our chart here. So again, we take a look at the left and the right. You can see that even though we had a few more homes that came on, had a few less sales than we did last year at this time, it was very, very small. How small? Look, that's all the foreclosures minus 8 that are in the Puget Sound area. That does not include what's on the other side of the mountain. And the numbers that you saw include everything that's on the other side of the mountain. We just give you a snapshot to show you how few homes there actually are that are bank owned, minus 8 that we will not mention anymore. But when we take a look at this, hey, listen, it's only 21 home difference as far as active available today versus what it was last year. Pendeds, sure, they were up 15. Why? Look at the bottom. This is super, let me go back one. Look at the bottom. This is super interesting. Okay, this is what happens when, so banks, banks have to push market price. They have to prove to the investor, whoever it is on the backside, right, that they got the most amount of money for that home. And unfortunately, that means that they have to price them higher. Well, what happens when you overprice a home? It doesn't go off market. It stays there, right? Okay, so even if you do paint, carpet, and vinyl, it doesn't matter. Buyers are super smart. They're not going to buy an overpriced home. They're just not. But they were slower because we're one of the 5 sweet spots across the United States. They were slower in that price reduction. How can I tell? It's super obvious. Look at this. Average days on market, 73 days. Year to date, 94. Well, guess what? That just tells me you were overpriced too long and they just would not drop that price. And it could be a variety of reasons why they didn't, but they should have. So nonetheless, all things considered, we don't have very many homes out there at all. Bank-owned homes, as you can tell, they're not a great value if you're looking for a discount or a deal. That's not what there are. There are a lot of other opportunities out there that are far superior. Other than that, if you have any questions, look, put it down below, okay? We'd love to see it. More importantly, if you find it in your heart and you think that would be super cool, look, smash that subscribe button. Give us a like. Let us know that you appreciate the information. Keep asking questions. Put them down below. We'll put a couple of links out there for you. And in the meantime, you guys have an absolutely beautiful day. And in the meantime, have an absolutely beautiful day. It's going to snow today. Don't go out and make snow angels quite yet. And I will see you on the next video. Take care.